Hello and welcome to Reverie True Crime. Today I have a very special, determined, and awesome person for you all to meet. Her name is Natalia St. and she is seeking justice for her father, Shawn O'Brien's murder. Natalia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start off by asking you to tell the listeners a little bit about your dad so we can get to know him and who he was.
Yeah. So my dad's name was Shawn O'Brien. He was 34 years old when he passed. He was the life of the party. He was super fun, super outgoing. He would do just about anything to make anybody laugh. He would give you the shirt off his back. He was so kind and so generous. I know a lot of people say that about people in their lives. But whatever he had, he would give to make sure that the people around him were taken care of. So he was all about having fun. Fun was just the embodiment of my dad.
That is so sweet. Oh my gosh. I love that. How did your mom and your dad meet?
My dad was friends with my mom's sister's boyfriend. So they all went on like a double date one night. They went to La Salette, which is it's hard to explain. It's in Massachusetts. It's like religious grounds. There's a church and stuff attached, but the whole like acre of land is a huge Christmas display. So they went there and then they went out for Chinese later in Providence, Rhode Island. And when I, asked her about it, she literally said the rest is history because that was it. They were together after that. And then I was born in 1992 and shortly after my parents split up when I was around 2 years old. So, my mom raised me as a single parent. My dad had some struggles that he was kind of dealing with at the time, and it definitely wasn't my mom's thing to deal with. So, they went their own separate ways, and he, I think he felt like if we couldn't all be a family, then he, needed a break, he needed some space. So there was a stretch of time that we were not in each other's lives.
Yeah. So did you know growing up, like, who your dad was, and did you get to see him at all, or was it like no contact?
No. So when I think about it, I think it was like, late 1990s. So like there's no Facebook, there's no like Googling somebody to find their phone number. So there wasn't really any contact. There were times that my mom would show me pictures of my dad, so I knew that he existed and I knew that there was, someone out there, but I think she explained it like he just wasn't ready to be a dad yet. So,
because he would have been in his early 20s.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really hard.
Yeah.
So, tell me about when you both reunited. How was that, and did it go well? Were you nervous? Do you remember? I know you were kind of young.
Yeah, so I was around 9 years old when I say that I met my dad again. It was a little awkward at first. I mean, I asked people like, how do you think you would feel like meeting your dad at 9 years old? So, but I think we got close fairly quickly. One of the things, we would do little projects around the house. So he was a carpenter. So we needed a railing in the stairwell of the apartment we were living in. So he would take me to Lowe's and get the materials for that. And it was like, okay, this is like what dads do.
Yeah.
Like this is a very typical dad thing to do. So, so we bonded over that stuff and we got close fairly quickly, and we got close as a family quickly, which was nice that the three of us were able to come back together the way that we did.
Yeah. So they ended up getting back together, or
kind of, it was like, I think it was on and off, but I didn't realize it. All I knew was that we were a family. So it was really nice the way that they were able to kind of
co-parent and all that. Yeah.
Like through whatever they were going through, dealing with coming back together after all those years. They didn't make it very obvious. It was just, we were all a family.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
So Do you have like a favorite memory with him, or is everything like your favorite now? I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's funny because I was talking to my mom, my cousin earlier, that I wish I had more memories. And it's not that we didn't spend the time. It's just that when you're in it, you don't think to yourself, you better commit this to memory because this is going to be the end of it.
Exactly.
So,
Especially when you're a kid. I mean, you were so
yeah.
young.
Yeah. So, only having them for 4 years, sometimes I think back and I think I don't have any memories, and it's like, I do, but nothing, I don't have many details of many memories. We had a long-standing tradition. My mom and I had gotten into some type of argument one Sunday night. I was in like 5th grade, and it was probably like, you need to take a shower and go to bed. And it was like, not happening. So he was like, nope, we're going to go out for a little bit. And my mom was probably fuming. So it was like, no, she needs to listen and take a shower. But here you are taking her out. And he took me to Dave and Buster's and we played games all night. And he took me home. We went back to the house and my mom was like, what, what's going on? And he was like, don't tell mom.
Yeah, that's
this
such a dad thing. Oh my God.
So it was a Sunday night when this had happened. So then every Sunday night after that for a good year plus probably, we went to Dave and Buster's every Sunday. And, my mom figured it out eventually, obviously, but it was like a little date night.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Just thinking about all that just makes me happy. So I know we have to bring more awareness to what happened to your dad. What was the first incident that he and his roommate or landlord had? And kind of what was his living situation too? Because it was a little bit complicated.
Yeah. It was a weird setup, and especially as like the backdrop for the case. If it was more straightforward, the case would make more sense. Right. But it was a duplex building, so it was 2 apartments side by side, and then the each apartment had a finished basement area. I don't know how legal the finished basement area was as a living area, but there it was. So my dad lived in the basement portion only of one side of the duplex. So there was no shower in the basement portion, so we would have to shower upstairs in the regular portion. And then the laundry room was in my dad's portion, so the landlord would have to come downstairs to use the laundry room. So there was some fluid movement between the apartments. Not a ton, but, they had to use each other's spaces for those reasons. And so his landlord was Armand. Armand had a girlfriend, Lynn, who had moved in at some point early 2006-ish. I guess the timeline's a little hazy sometimes on when she became like a full-time live-in girlfriend, but there were tensions growing between them constantly. So, I don't remember the dates or whatever of the incidents, but, she would go downstairs and flip a table and say, I'm going to kill you. And she had physically assaulted him a couple times. And then in June 2006, there was some type of disturbance, and I was actually able to get the police report from that. And it just kind of reported that there was some type of argument. Armand was looking to evict my dad, and my dad was already looking for an apartment at that time anyway because things were so uncomfortable. Armand wanted it on record, and my dad actually had a warrant out for his arrest, so he was taken in on that. But yeah, so he was paying a good portion of the rent. He was paying around $650, $675, and the rent was $800. Lynn wanted my dad out of the apartment, but Armand, if someone's paying 85% of your rent,
exactly,
you're not going to want them out. And, would tell my dad periodically, yeah, she wants you out, but I want you to stay. Like, I want you here. So it was complex.
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet Armand, like when your dad was living at the duplex?
Oh, yeah. So we would go and spend some time there. We would watch movies or have, get takeout and hang out for the night. So I did know Armand. He was a good guy when I met him. He was, like there was nothing amiss. He seemed just like a good guy. I don't know. He had a golden retriever that loved my dad.
Aww.
That just, ended up being like my dad's best friend. And I did see Lynn periodically. I had met her and all that just from being in the apartment. But the tide certainly shifted when they got together. So Armand, all of a sudden, things were a little different.
Yeah. So it was kind of like when she moved in, things changed.
Yes, definitely.
How long from the disturbance to when your dad passed away?
So the police report was June 8th of 2006. And then my dad was found unconscious on July 22nd, 2006. So it's about 5-6 weeks from the actual incident of calling the police. But in that time, there were other arguments and things going on, just without police getting involved. So, it was a really tense few months.
Oh my God. So can you walk us through the 21st and the 22nd?
On the 21st, that was a Friday night, my mom and I went by the apartment. We were all supposed to go out that night. And I had a migraine. So my mom said, I'm just going to take her home. She's going to rest. And Lynn's car was in the driveway. So my dad pointed at the car and said, I don't want to be here tonight. Can you just take me to Billy's? It was this bar down the street. He said, I just want to go play some Keno. I'll have a couple beers and I'll get home later. And he was adamant. I don't want to be here tonight. I just don't want to be here. I'm uncomfortable. So then on Saturday morning, it's July 22nd, 7 a.m. He is usually up and would call my mom from the house, which was the house phone was upstairs that he would have to use. Cause remember 2006,
Yeah.
no one was in California.
Right.
And he didn't call that morning. And so my mom was concerned, but also knew that sometimes he could get himself into a little bit of trouble here and there. And maybe he just, had a rough night and is sleeping it off or something. Yeah. So he did not show up for work that morning. And then at 5:50 p.m. on Saturday, the 22nd, he is found unconscious in the basement apartment in his apartment.
So who found him?
His sister, Karen, went by the apartment sometime around 5:45. I don't know why. Maybe she was just visiting. Maybe she was looking for something. I don't know. And she found him. And at that point, Armand had come running out of the house and said, you need to hurry up. You need to come in. Sean's been in a seizure for over an hour. And I mean, I'm no doctor, but that doesn't sound like it makes sense to me, but that's fine. And so Karen comes in. She's the one that calls 911, and police are called a few minutes later saying that they, EMTs needed police backup.
Yeah, I have seizures, and if they last more than 5 minutes, you're supposed to call the hospital right away. So the fact that he would say it had been going on for an hour and you don't call somebody, that is weird.
Yeah, it's negligent at, best, and there's some conspiracy there at worst.
Yeah. So I did listen to the 911 call. Now, that was your dad's sister. So that was really interesting to me because you also emailed to get a 911 analysis done. Yeah. And I had never heard of this before. Yeah. So do you want to kind of walk us through the 911 call and what was said about that?
Yeah. So she calls 911. My dad is found face down, pool of blood, in only his boxers. You can hear on the 911 call, kind of in the background, you can hear some gurgling going on. And she is yelling his name and telling him to wake up. And he obviously doesn't. And the EMTs arrive, and that's kind of where the 911 call stops.
911 is your emergency, please. It's a rescue, please. Where are you? We're at 145 Pleasant Street in Cranston. All right, you stay on the line. I'll get you the rescue. Hold on, please. Sean!
Cranston Fire.
Hi, we need a rescue, please. 145 Pleasant Street in Cranston. My brother's had a seizure, and he's been in it for quite a bit.
Is that a single-family home?
It's a one-family home.
Okay.
It's a duplex, actually.
145 Pleasant Street.
Yes.
We're on the way.
Thank you.
What I had told the 911 call analysis people was that when my aunt had heard that police were on the way, that it wasn't just going to be medical, that police were going to respond as well, she left the scene. She had said that she had a warrant for her arrest, but it turned out she didn't. So that kind of never sat right with me. Mm-hmm. And when I had the analysis done, one of the things that they pointed out was just that while, they can't say that she did it or was involved, the way that the call presents, it's as if she's hiding something, that she has some knowledge that is not coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, it said that it definitely sounded deceptive. And I was just like, wow, maybe they kind of told her a little bit of what happened.
Right.
But, I would also think, why wouldn't his own sister want to help?
Yeah. And I have tried over the years, I have reached out to his family, and I are estranged. I don't have contact with them, but I have left her, messages, or I found her apartment. I left her a note on her car, like, hey, just give me a call. I just want to talk to you.
Talk to me.
Not criminal things aside, all of that aside, I just want to know what you remember. Those are the last moments that my dad was in his home. I just want to know what it looked like. What did you see? Was he, what do you remember? So, but she's never reached back out to me.
And that's even sketchier to me personally.
Yeah.
From there, your dad was taken to the hospital?
Yeah. So he arrived at Rhode Island Hospital about 10 minutes later. His family arrives and they let my mom know. My mom did not take me at first. My dad did have a history of having seizures every so often. They were usually drug induced, or, after he had done drugs or drank too much. They were not super common, but they would happen from time to time. Sometimes they were manageable at home, but there were times that he was taken to the hospital for a seizure. So I don't think my mom's first reaction was outrageous concern, because,
right.
Probably assumed this is something a little bit more routine. But when they gathered them in the family room and said that he would have to have brain surgery and there was going to be some more extensive treatment, that's when my mom had me brought down to the hospital, and one of the doctors had come out and just asked, does anybody know what happened to him? I think, my mom was kind of taken aback, like, he had a seizure, right? Like,
yeah.
What do you mean? What happened to him? And the doctors kind of said, like, no, this does not add up here.
Did they talk to Armand and Lynn, or were they cooperative, uncooperative?
So the police had responded Saturday night when EMTs called them, and there was no interaction at that point. They didn't seal the scene. They didn't talk to anybody. The police's statement was that my dad was conscious. He had no marks on him, and that the apartment was neat and orderly. The EMT statements, 4 different statements, say completely different things. So they did not speak to Lynn or Armand at that point. My dad ultimately passes away on Tuesday, July 25th, and it isn't until Wednesday, July 26th, that they go to the house and seal the scene and talk to anybody.
And in those days, Armand and Lynn are still there, right?
Yes.
So they have time to do whatever they might need to do to kind of clean up or rearrange things or whatever.
Yeah.
From there, did they do any more investigating?
So there was an initial investigation. They, took evidence from the crime scene. They interviewed people. They went through the dump, looking for different things that had gone missing from my dad's apartment. And so, again, I was 13. I don't remember. I didn't speak to the police, but just in speaking to them today and recently, it's been like, we've done all this work. We did all this work back in 2006, and they interviewed countless people and they spent countless hours. And it's like, I get it. That's your job.
Yeah.
So.
That's exactly it. It's like, that is your job. So if a family member or someone comes to you and asks you to just do your job, reinvestigate, like, do these things that you're asking them to do, you would think that's their job. They should do it.
Yeah.
So what did the first coroner report say? Because I know we have 2, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the medical examiner's initial report, unofficially, my mom had met with him and he had told her this is a homicide, 100%, like, no questions asked. So my mom walks away thinking this is great. We've got, we are moving forward at lightning speed here. And he ended up reporting that it was blunt force trauma to the head by undetermined means. So he ruled it undetermined. And he says that it's undetermined because he needs more evidence from the police. He says it's unlikely that it could have been a fall and a seizure or a seizure and a fall, but maybe. It's like, well, no, not really.
Yeah.
So, but again, when we've sat with him over the year, my mom sat with him and I've sat with him years later, he will sit there and tell us, this is a homicide. I just need the police to give me a little bit more and I'll change my ruling, but he won't do it.
So I know in the files that you sent me, there are a lot of emails. So what have you been writing to police and investigators? Who all have you contacted about this and what have they said?
So I've reached out so many times over the years. And I've talked to a bunch of different people in the Cranston Police Department. Most recently, in 2021, I was assigned a detective to the case, Detective Rob Santagata, and I'd worked exclusively with him for a little bit of time. I get a lot of correspondence from the chief of police when I get a little bit too brazen with my requests and with my questions, with my comments, then all of a sudden I'll get a letter from him that's like, letting me know to tone it down a little bit.
But it's like, would you tone it down if it was your father or your mother? Like,
no. And it's so condescending.
Yeah.
So at this point, I am working with the chief of detectives for the Cranston Police and the chief of the criminal division for the Rhode Island Attorney General's office. So, to count the amount of written, it's just, I want things in writing.
And, the meetings that you've gone to, and I know you tried to sit down and talk to them, and phone calls, emails.
Yep.
For years, right?
Yes.
This is just...
And we still will. There are things coming up now about the DNA that was or was not tested and, different inconsistencies in the files that we've been receiving. And I'm probably going to have to email them again and ask to meet again because... I don't know. I truly don't know how else to get them to take us seriously.
It's a really hard thing because so many families are going through the same thing. And I don't understand why police will not help. Like, I just don't get it. There are so many families, so many states. Like, how is this even okay?
Right. I'm not asking for much.
Exactly. You're just asking them to do their job.
Yeah. And I'll do one of the biggest things that I will communicate to them constantly is like, I am so willing to work with you guys. I have paid out of pocket for this independent opinion to say that it was a homicide. I have secured funding to get DNA retested. I've secured funding for different media outreach things. You tell me you want something. I will 100% get it done for you.
You have definitely busted your ass more than they have. What is your TikTok handle?
NNSTLO.
Every time I see your TikToks, I'm just like, wow, that's how I first learned about your dad and everything. I saw your TikTok and just the work that you put in every day is unreal.
Yeah.
And the police won't even put in half of that.
No, they won't label it a homicide. They label it a suspicious death. I don't know. It's just...
And you would think, okay, if you label it a suspicious death, why would you not want to get down to the bottom of the suspicion?
Right.
I just don't get it.
So they will constantly tell me that we just need someone to come forward. We need new evidence. We need someone to come forward.
That's not going to happen when there were only 2 people there.
Yeah. If you want new information, you have to go find new information.
Yeah.
Sitting back with your hands in your lap, like, oh, well, something will come to us.
Yeah, no.
That's not happening.
Another question that I just thought about, did they ever give a polygraph test to Armand and Lynn?
Not that I know of. So when they initially brought them in on Wednesday the 26th, the day after my dad died, that Wednesday, my mom walks into the police station. Okay. While he was in the hospital, we had called the police 3 or 4 times and said, you guys need to get to the department. Something bad happened. They never went. So my mom walks into the police station Wednesday, the 26th, and says, I need to talk to somebody because something's not right. The medical examiner claimed his body for autopsy. I have all these marks on him. I have all this information. You've got to listen to me. So they listen. They go out and they take them in for questioning, and they keep Armand and Lynn together in the same room. And
You've got to be kidding. Oh my God.
They let Lynn write Armand's statement for him because he was too nervous and shaken up to write it himself.
Wow.
No, it's laughable. It's really laughable because it's like, you hear about these police departments sometimes and you're like, wow, like they're really not good at like what they're doing. And it's like, wow, that is like you.
Yeah. Come to find out, like most police stations and police officers, they just half-ass everything. And to put two potential suspects in the room together, let alone let one write the other statement because they're nervous. Yeah. He's probably nervous because he knows he just did something to someone.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So I think that was just about the end of any working with them. Over the years, I think they tried to pull them back in. Lynn came in one more time, like after I got complained a lot years ago. And I was like, you guys need to talk to these people again. They pulled Lynn back in and they did have a conversation with her, but she maintained her same story. And whenever they call Armand to come back in, he just says, I have a lawyer and I'm not talking. So that's been the end of that.
Oh my gosh. So you would think with those two people being the only ones there, I can't wrap my mind around how obvious this is.
Yeah.
And how easy it might be to, I know, polygraphs are not admissible in court, but, to have something that would prove, yeah, this is what happened, would at least bring you a little bit of peace. And
right.
So you can start to heal a little.
So the Attorney General will often tell me that this case is unprosecutable. They will cite whatever reasons they want to cite that day because every day is a new day with them. It's like, it's like Groundhog Day. So I get it that this would be a difficult case to bring to court. Like, I'm not a stupid person. There's some defense attorney somewhere would get these people off on some technicality.
Like, for sure.
100%. I just want to know what happened.
Yeah.
Like,
most families, that's it. They're like, I don't care about like even them going to jail at this point. It's been so long. I just want to sit with them and have them tell me what really happened.
Yeah, that's all I want. I just want the theory. I want my, we all have a million theories. We all picture it, when we can't sleep at night, what could have happened? Just tell me which one is true so I can go to sleep.
Exactly. God. Did they find any evidence at all when they finally marked it a crime scene? Did they find anything?
Yeah, so they took out, I have a list of evidence, and they took out a very high amount of evidence. I don't know exactly, 100 maybe plus pieces. Things as simple as like, a cleaning container and and things like cutouts of the mattress that had blood and pillows that had blood and blankets that had blood and all these things that had blood. So the last 6 months or so, I've been sending record requests and saying, out of these pieces of evidence, I just pick and choose pieces of evidence. Out of these, which ones were tested and what has my dad's DNA? So oddly enough, the ones that were tested were all my dad's DNA. And then you have a group, I'm not kidding you, a group of like 20 items that had blood on them that were not tested at all. I mean, I don't know. I would maybe start with testing DNA. So I've asked, can we, I'd found a resource that would literally pay for private DNA testing. No cost to the department, no chain of custody issues, just straight paying for it. And they refused to use it. So I said, well, can the Rhode Island Department of Health, can we get all this stuff retested? Or how about just tested the first time? And they kind of said, well, DNA won't really make or break this case.
Well, unless it's blood, unless it was like, Armand maybe got a little blood somewhere.
Right.
I can understand since it is his place and they were, in and out of each other's rooms sometimes. Yeah, we know his DNA may be on some things, but these things that have blood on them, come on.
Right. So Armand never provided a DNA sample. Lynn did. So I had pointed out, I said, if you were to retest that stuff, and you have this mattress, say, with a pool of blood on it, and 99% is my dad's blood, but you have 1% that's a random person's blood, that should not be mixed in with the blood from an accident.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the downfall is. I don't see any downsides just retesting it. And I'm going on, I think, 4 weeks of waiting to hear if they'll even do it through the state, never mind my resource.
Yeah. So what is their excuse for not retesting it? Like, why did they say no?
So they won't use the outside resource because they say it's a chain of custody issue. It's been disproven. There's so many safeguards in place. It's not even funny. Then they said, well, the testing back in 2006, the technology is really not that different.
Oh, bull. Mm-mm.
I said, it's been close to 20 years. The testing is pretty different. It's
come a long way.
Yeah. So I don't know what their problem is. I don't know.
I mean, in cases like this, I usually wonder if either the perpetrator is either a narc for the police, so they don't want to do anything, or if they know the person, they have some kind of connection with that person. Do you think any of that could be a possibility?
So there are pieces of this that I used to deny that there's any conspiracy because I think, who is my dad, right? He's some young construction worker. His family doesn't really know many people. We don't know anybody in Rhode Island. It's not like we're well connected to anybody. Who are we, like to cover something up? And then the more things that come out, the more things I'm like, okay, that's a cover up. And that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And, there's no reason you shouldn't test the DNA, and there's no reason you shouldn't talk to people. And I was talking to my husband last night, and he is on this kick that like one of them's a CIA agent. I'm like, that's not even.
I mean, you never know. You never know.
He's like, well, so my husband has been convinced from day one that they're informants or something. Like they're connected somehow, like you said, because they both do have extensive criminal records that mysteriously stop around 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just have a feeling that the police have some kind of connection with them. Yeah. Allegedly, maybe.
Yeah.
Just don't know.
I know. You should have no reason not to do this, not to do these things. I mean, if it never goes to court, just shut me up.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you find the forensic pathologist?
Back in 2021, I was working the summer. I was a teacher, and I just decided to pick up some extra work in the summer. And it was a slow day. And I shot out an email to, I think, 75 different pathologists from all over the country. I had nothing else better to do that day. And some bounced back to me. Some were like, I don't have time for this. Some were like, I'll charge you $1,000 an hour to talk to you. And some were like, oh, here's a quick opinion, whatever. And Dr. Bao said, can you give me a call? So I call him. I'm walking through a Trader Joe's, and he says, I looked at the autopsy report, and that's not right. You cannot get those injuries from a fall. You can't get those injuries from a seizure. It's impossible. So I worked with him, and then I ended up, paying him privately to officially put on record that his opinion was that it was a homicide. And so that was the first time anyone publicly or officially ruled it a homicide. And it was, people will say these things, the police and the medical examiner, the attorney general will tell us behind closed doors that they think it's a homicide. But to have somebody put it in writing was like, we cried.
It makes it kind of official. And
yeah. It was huge.
What were the injuries that would differentiate it from like a seizure, falling down from a seizure, or just hitting your head and falling down from what your dad's injuries were?
Okay, so he had a massive subdural hematoma with a skull fracture. There was a midline shift, so the brain kind of shifted.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah.
And then it eventually, hemorrhages. He had a massive subarachnoid hemorrhage.
A subarachnoid hemorrhage. So because he was struck so hard and the brain shifted, then the bleed was so bad that then there was swelling, and it just went from there. The surgery was trying to relieve the swelling, but it didn't work. The medical examiner here will say, well, maybe you could get that from a fall.
I don't think so. I mean, unless you're falling maybe on concrete from a little high up. But, I mean, just from where you're standing to the floor, I do not see that happening.
So one of the theories was that he was coming down the stairs, started to have a seizure, and fell. The thing is that he knew when a seizure was coming, His stairs had a tiny little landing, and then all the way around was his bedroom where he was found. So if he had a seizure on the stairs, fell down the stairs, by every medical account, it was one blow and he was done. He was not getting back up. He was not moving after that. So if he fell at the bottom of the stairs and that's where the brain injury happened, he would have been found at the bottom of the stairs.
Right.
To me, that's just like basic, like 101. So I don't know why everyone argues that with me. And gone to the bedroom and wedged himself. He was found between the bed and the dresser, and it was not, and there was blood on the bed and there was blood here and there.
Oh my God.
If he fell, he would have been found
right there.
Fell.
Yeah. And just the blood all over everything just does not make sense to me. Like, did he bite his tongue during seizures or anything? I mean, that amount of blood, though.
It was, what the EMTs had noted was that there was blood, some right, some right, left, like depending on which way they were looking, coming from the ear or the mouth. They couldn't tell where it was originating from because it was kind of all in there, and he was in a pool of it. So I don't think it was from biting his tongue.
No. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just trying to like play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
It still does not add up.
No. Right. And over the years, that was one of the things that I tried to do. I tried to, look at it from every angle. I tried to say, what if all this time we believed this, but that's not true, just, for closure and for like to move on a little bit because this is consuming. And it's like, I can't, no, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not a stupid person. I'm fairly logical. I don't want to accept, I'm not going to convince myself of something that's just simply untrue and impossible.
Yeah. Nobody wants to put themselves in a place where, you're thinking every day, like, your dad got murdered. Like, nobody wants to think that.
Right. So you try to find, like, okay, if there's a different possibility out there, please God, give it to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm done with this. But there's not. It's just not, it's not the way the world works.
Well, how is your mom handling everything, and how has she been?
She's good. She did a lot of this in 2006 and 2007, and I saw the toll it took on her. And I think, we have always been so close over the years and growing up. And, every few months or whatever, it would come up and we would talk about it and like, oh, we should do something. And it's like, yeah, but life's busy. And I was in college and she was working and family stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
that just meant the timing just wasn't right yet.
Yeah. And it wasn't meant to be, but now my mom and I and my cousin Vinny, that's not a play on the movie. That's actually
yeah. He emailed me and I was wondering, I was like, what's the connection? I don't know, but.
So he's my cousin and he, and the three of us like do this day in and day out. So tonight we actually went out and we have flyers with my dad's picture on it and it says like murdered and we go and we hang those on poles all around the city. So that's what we do. Sometimes we'll just go out and do that. He's like a super sleuth. He's like, on the computer finding, I could ask him for any detail and he'll find it. And my mom has got all her notes from, 2006. And she's like, wait, but you forgot this one part. And so I get to add it to my file. And so it's not fun, but we make the most of it.
At least y'all have each other.
Yeah. That's
just so special. You get to interact with each other and it's just a really good bond.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have somebody else with me through it because I think I would, you'd go crazy doing this.
So where do you go from here? What is the next step for you?
I just keep plugging ahead. So I flood the department with FOIA requests. I flood them with emails to answer my questions after I get those requests. we do the TikToks every night. I'm trying to like do the social media thing. It's not my strong suit, but I'm trying because I think I just want his name out there somewhere.
You said something that really hit me in your TikTok.
I believe we die when someone says our name for the last time. So I say my dad's every day.
That hit me so hard.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's easy to forget about it and just say it happened, he's gone. But he was 34 and he was too big of a personality to die that soon.
Yeah.
So we'll keep him going as long as we can.
Yeah. So is there anything that the public can do, that we as a community can do to help?
I think just I am so blown away at the support that I've gotten already from being in this community. And I said on Twitter, but I am part of this community by circumstance. I didn't choose to be in here. If I could make a choice, I wouldn't be in this community.
Exactly.
It's not one I want to be in.
Yeah.
But the love and the positivity and the outpouring of support has been phenomenal. So I think all I need from people is to like continue sharing the videos and sharing the Twitter and saying his name and listening to his story, because I think someone somewhere is going to hear something and it's going to shake something loose. And that's what the police want. They want somebody to come forward, and I will give it. I will find somebody.
Yeah.
So,
because it depends on like how tight-lipped Armand is, or if he would tell someone and maybe that person tells another person. I just hope something like that has happened so it will eventually come out. Yeah.
That's my hope. I mean, they're both older now. So I don't know how much they're listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
But I hope somebody hears it and says, that's so funny because I was sitting in a bar one night and that person said this to me. So like maybe I'll call the police about that, or like I'll call, we have, I have an email set up and I have an anonymous tip line. You can call the detective, but I don't know if they'll go back to you.
Yeah.
So like I will, I'll take any information I can get.
I don't believe there's a such thing as sharing too many times or too much. Yeah. Like just keep circulating it. And I admire you a lot.
Thank you.
You are strong. And I know it sucks to have to be strong, and the way that you were kind of forced to be strong. And it blows me away. It blows me away. And I think you're doing a great job. And I think, if anything, you will probably solve this case. I think.
I appreciate it. I hope so, because I'm tired of doing it.
I know. Do you think that it would help if people called the police department and were like, hey, we heard about this case. Why aren't y'all doing anything about it?
I don't know if they'd care, but I'm open to people. I'm open to people calling if they want to call. Like if there's a community of people that are mobilized and are like, I'll call the police station and be like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know that number off the top of your head?
Yeah. It's 401-942-2211.
Okay. So yeah, call that number. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and tell everyone, because I know it cannot be easy to talk about. And yeah, you're amazing. And I know one day it'll happen. I know it will.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Natalia. And also, plug your socials. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Yep. So we have a website, justiceforshawnO'Brien.com. We have a Twitter, Justice for Shawn O'Brien. My TikTok is NNSTLO. The anonymous tip line is 401-284-9555. 555 is my dad's lucky number.
Oh.
And so you can find us all there. I update the website regularly. My cousin Vinny and I are on that all the time. So we're also on Facebook. We're sharing all the same things on there. Justice for Shawn O'Brien.
Well, thank you so much, Natalia.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. You have no idea.
No, it's my pleasure.
All right. I appreciate you.